Hello, everyone. We are behind the mic once again. Mike Joseph, Gary Laubach, glad you are joining us. You're probably feeling a little down as much as we are. A very tough loss to Bucknell, 21-14, and now they take on Colgate under Stan Dukoski. He's in his fourth season as the head coach at Colgate. Colgate comes into this ball game with a record very similar, actually, to Lafayette's. 2-7, 1-2 in the Patriot League. Lafayette now at 4-5, 1-3 in the Patriot League. And Mike, I don't think any of us would have predicted that Lafayette right now would be sitting in last place in the Patriot League.
Not after they were picked first to win it. And, obviously they've had some injuries and on the offensive line especially, but they haven't played well overall in all three phases. They can't seem to put the ball in the end zone when they need to in the red zone. That's been an issue. And they can't stop people on third down. So there's some problems that they're experiencing right now that they haven't. So the question is, how do these coaches get these players rallied for these last three games when there's really not a Patriot League championship to play for, but obviously that big game at the end of the season, and you need to go into that game playing well.
And I wonder how much of it is the fact that they were picked to win the league. It seems like everybody's bringing their best game. Everybody seems to be really pumped up watching the Bucknell game. The Bucknell players were psyched up, really ready to go. And I think when you have that mark on your back, it's sometimes tough to overcome it, but good teams have to do that. We haven't been able to do that.
Yeah, and you and I talked about it. Sometimes it's easier to get to the top than it is to stay at the top, right? And a lot of these teams, they're better. Bucknell's better. Yes. Lehigh is better. Georgetown is better. So the leap that we saw Lafayette make last year with their personnel, obviously some of the quarterback play that they've gotten, I think everybody's better in the league. So I think it was anticipated. Last year was a little bit of a down year for some teams, except obviously Holy Cross and Lafayette. But everybody's reached that mark. It's a lot of parity in the league, and a lot of these games for Lafayette could have gone both ways as well.
We've had two straight games now where we have the ball inside the 10-yard line with a chance to either win it or a chance to tie the football game, just like we did on Saturday. We weren't able to punch it in. Is it more about the fact that we don't have a big running back, or is it more about the fact that we just don't have the line power to move them out of the way?
Well, the number one thing in the red zone is you need to be able to run the football. And I think we've done a pretty good job of that. We just don't get a lot of movement. It's more Jamar, inside, outside, obviously, slow to the hole, quick through the hole. That's his key. But Jamar didn't play the last 10 plays of this Bucknell game. Strange. And he didn't play the last series against Holy Cross. Strange. But he got us down there with his running ability. So the best player on the field for us is Jamar Curtis. He needs to be in the mix all the time. And, again, to score in the red zone, you need to be able to run the football and then run, obviously, the play action. I think also Lafayette offensively has become a little bit predictable as to what they do and what they do in certain situations.
And Jamar has another good game. He had 109 yards in the ball game. He now has 14 100-yard games. So you can't really say that Jamar hasn't done what we expected Jamar to do. That has been the case. 3 shots at the end zone to tie the game at the very end, and we could not get it into the end zone. We have to mention, though, some of the outstanding play. Sekou White with 15 tackles and an interception.
Yeah, he was phenomenal. And he kind of tried to put this team on his back defensively, made that one-handed stab for that interception in the end zone. He came up and made some great tackles as well. I thought it was the best game he played all year, but he needs other people around him to play better. The linebackers struggled a little bit. I think Preston Forney was banged up a little bit. We're using some extra players there. The defensive line came right out, sack, first play, Tim O'Hearn. I thought, all right, here we go. But then you get a 3rd down and 17, and you give up a 45-yard run. So there are certain situations where maybe they're lacking a little discipline, or they're lacking a little bit of that extra leadership to know these are important downs, and Lafayette has not shown up so far on important downs.
And we have had problems all year with quarterbacks that run the football. They seem to get outside the protection, and they managed to pick up some good yards. 11 receivers made catches. That's a good sign for Lafayette. I think Mason Keener and Carson Persing had good games.
Yeah, I think they did exactly what you needed to do, and Hosack makes that catch in the back of the end zone. So, and Caracia, again, he's a guy that can take the top off. So we have guys. Obviously, we're missing Eli. That's big. But Mason Keener has stepped up. Persing has stepped up. These 2 tight ends, which we're going to cover in Inside the Huddle, 6 touchdowns. Dean has 13. They have half of them. So need to use those guys better, use the middle of the field. But a lot of these kids have stepped up, like you said, and they've done their part. It's a matter of the big plays have not come for Lafayette.
And I guess the biggest thing to overcome for Lafayette, besides trying to beat Colgate, is to overcome the mental aspect of now knowing you're not playing for a league championship. You really are disappointed in what's happened so far. So how do you – you and I played athletics. You wanted to win everything. Didn't matter whether you had lost before. And I assume you're going to go in with the same attitude.
Yeah, there's some disappointment knowing that the Patriot League championship is out of your reach, but that's why John Troxell's here. He's building something. Obviously, last year it was a special year, and they come and go. But like you said, more teams put the target on you. More teams get better. They understand where they need to go. But John Troxell and his staff know what needs to be done right now. So people out there have to trust. You and I, like we do. We trust Trox. We know why he's here. We understand what this staff is all about. They got it done. They didn't forget how to coach. They didn't, all of a sudden become bad coaches or become bad players. They just have to get it done at certain points. And there's always 4 or 5 plays in a game that change the game. And haven't we seen that this year? But Coach Troxell knows what he's doing. I trust John. I trust the entire staff. They'll get it done these last 3 games.
Okay, let's take a look at Colgate. And thanks again to Will Newsidle for some of his background information. At quarterback is Jake Sterney. It is not Michael Brescia. That's who we thought we would see all year, but he has been hurt. He last played against Cornell. Sterney has come in. He's only a sophomore, and it looks like they've got themselves another good quarterback.
Yeah, I like him, and he's got some good receivers as well. But Sterney can do the same thing. He can get outside the pocket. He can pick up third downs. He can throw the ball accurately. Again, he's got Saunders on the outside. He's got a good running game as well. The offensive line's coming together. They're a little different than they used to when they were a lot of zone read stuff. Now they're a little bit more drop back, get the quarterback outside. But they will change where the quarterback's launch point is, and that's important for our defensive line. So they are, I think, more disciplined offensively as to what they want to do. And I think they got them going in the right directions, but you go back and look at the Merrimack game, they got completely blown out. Then they lose to Fordham, and Fordham was due. Fordham's not a bad football team, but this team is, I think, on the right track, and they're only going to get better.
Yeah, they did lose to Fordham this past week by a 20-14 score, to Merrimack 51-17. They're going to be salivating a little bit, too, to get a victory, like all the teams that we've played so far. Mike mentioned their running back, Marco Maldonado. He's a good one. He averages 4.2 yards per carry. But Chris G comes in. He's a sophomore. He's averaging almost 6 yards a carry.
Yeah, I like Chris G. And their offensive line is based on, running the football. They love to run the football, and they're going to do it at Andy Kerr. And, again, you could wake up that morning in Hamilton, and it could be 4 inches of snow on the ground. It could be 30-mile-an-hour winds, or it could be the most gorgeous day you've ever seen in Hamilton. So you never know what you're going to get. I think it's the hardest place to play in the Patriot League, in my opinion. To drive to Hamilton, get up there, it's a gorgeous place, but at the same time, I think it's the hardest place to play, and Lafayette's got to get a W out of this.
Saunders, Moore, Hutchison, those are the 3 receivers that are at the top of their game. They've got a good defense. They've got a good linebacker in Cole Kozlowski. He has been outstanding. Christian Sweeney, Dane Piccarello, the defensive lineman, he has 5.5 tackles for a loss, 52 tackles.
Yeah, they get after it up front. Their front 7 is the key to everything, and then obviously they make the back end go, getting to the quarterback, causing interceptions, that type of thing. The thing about Colgate is they're not very good in the red zone. That's where Lafayette has to take advantage. They're last in red zone offense, last in red zone defense. Their defense gives up some points in the red zone, almost kind of gives up a little bit. But they're better out in the front. So, again, I think their front 7 is the key. If they want to stop Lafayette, they're going to get after Dean DeNoble.
And they have to find Kozlowski. He's got 100 tackles already this year, 8.5 tackles for a loss, 4 sacks and an interception, 2-time Patriot League Defensive Player of the Week. So know where he is at. They also have a very good kicker in Luke Vogler, 8 for 10 field goals, one of them a 51-yarder, 4 for 4 in extra points. He's 4 for 4 on 40-plus field goals.
That's strange to us here at Lafayette, but yeah, he's good. If it comes down to a kick, the advantage goes their way. And Lafayette's special teams have not been good the last couple weeks. We got to find a way for Lafayette to punt the football and change field position. We haven't done that in a couple of years. And if it comes down to a kick, it certainly could go their way, and especially with the wind blowing up there, you never know. Lafayette needs to play a full game. We talked about it last week. Offense, defense, special teams, complementary football, come out of there the win. Lafayette is more talented as they were last week against Bucknell. They're more talented than this football team. Got to put it all together.
Will they turn the corner? Because they've got Stonehill next week and then Lehigh. Those are the next 3 ball games. We'll be there for Stonehill and for Lehigh. Even though Lehigh is an away game, we'll have that game for you. So go Leopards, beat Colgate. That's what we're looking for this week. Glad you joined us for Behind the Mic.